잡아들 때 맞고 오른손으로 연목 치는.
When an opponent comes in to grab you, do knife hand open blocks and a knife hand strike to the side of the neck.
잡을 때 맞고 오른 발걸음에서 상대방 턱을.
When an opponent comes in at a close distance, do knife hand blocks and an elbow strike to the side of the jaw.
잡을 때 맞고 양수도로 양늑을 쳐올리기.
When an opponent is taller than you, lower your posture and do knife hand strikes to the rib cage.
양수도로 맞고 오른 발걸음으로 턱 쳐올리기.
If your opponent is the same height as you, do blocks and an upward elbow strike under his chin.
맞고 장으로 명치 쳐올리기.
When your opponent comes in a hurry, do a knife hand block and palm heel strike to his solar plexus.
잡을 때 맞고 양 장으로 좌중우.
You can also strike the rib cages with your palm heels. For maximum impact, lower your posture and utilize your body weight.
잡을 때 양손을 감아 잡고 내전에서 손목 팔꿈치 꼬아서 걷어내기.
When he comes in to grab your collar, block and grab his wrists, step in and cross his elbows. Throw him on the ground and finish it with a knee press on his arm.
잡을 때 맞고 한번 팔꿈치 꺾고 상대 꺾고.
You can also block and grab his wrist. Pull down the outside of his elbow to the ground. On the floor, use your knee to further press his elbow.
잡을 때 가마 잡고 오른쪽 걸로 칼 넣기. 마무리.
Do out to in circular block and a forearm press on his elbow. Press him down and finish it with a knee press on his rear arm.
잡을 때 왼손을 맞고 손목 꺾고 제압하는 기술.
Block his right wrist and grab it with your left hand. Twist it outward with your right hand augmented for more control. On the ground, pull him toward you and press his arm with your right knee.
뒤로 돌아. 손목 꺾기.
Block and grab his right wrist. Spin in under his arm while both of your hands are holding his thumb and knife hand side firmly.
내전하며 손목 꺾기. 마무리.
Block and grab his right wrist. Spin in under his arm while both of your hands are holding his thumb and knife hand side firmly.
잡을 때 목 당겨 던지기.
Block and grab his right wrist with your left hand. Pull his neck with your right hand while you throw him over your right hip. On the ground, press his elbow with your hand and knee.
허리 감아 던지기.
Block and wrap around his waist with your right arm. Do a hip throw and control his arm with your knee on the ground.
팔꿈치 꺾어 던지기.
Block and grab his right wrist with your left hand. Put your right arm under his right elbow and throw. On the ground, control his arm with your knee.
막아잡고 뒤다리 던지기.
Block and grab his right wrist with your left hand, his right shoulder with your right hand. Sweep his right leg and take him down. Control his arm with your knee on the ground.
어깨 잡혔을 때 기어들이 한 꺾기.
When he grabs your collar, grab his wrist and press his elbow with your armpit.
잡혔을 때 왼손은 합곡부에 손목 붙여잡고 오른손 3열을 당겨서 그대로 눌러 손목 걷기.
When he grabs your collar, grab his left wrist with your left hand and press his upper forearm with your right hand. Keep his elbow in an L shape for maximum control.
때 오른손은 삼리의 급소를 첫 빼고 돌아서 내리는 손목.
Grab his right wrist with your left hand. Strike his forearm with your right hand. Go under his arm and spin him down to the ground. Press his arm with your knee for a finish.
양어깨 잡았을 때 양 내관절을 눌러 당겨 손목 꺾기.
Grab his upper wrists with your thumbs, pressing the back of his hands. Twist both of his wrists inward and downward.
상대가 던지러 들어올 때 내 몸에 힘을 빼고 축 늘어뜨리는 겁니다.
Against a throw, relax your body and lean forward to him and lower your balance.
손 살려서 팔꿈치로 늑골을 막아주는 겁니다.
Against a throw, lower your balance and stick your elbow into his waist and block his leverage.
어깨를 잡고
Against a throw, pull his rear shoulder backward and kick his rear knee to take him down.
발을 감어 중심을 흐트러뜨리는 겁니다.
Against a throw, put your foot across the inside of his shin and lower your balance.
들어올 적에 왼발을 빼면서
Against the throw, move your left foot back and punch his solar plexus with your knuckle punch.
상대가 들어올 때 목 감고 다리 감아서 구르면서 던지는 겁니다.
Against a throw, grab his rear shoulder and be thrown. When you fall, wrap his lower leg and shoulder and roll him down.
들어오는 힘을 그대로 이용해서 발을
Against a throw, use his momentum and spin yourself out while throwing off his balance.
상대 목젖을 눌러주고 손목을 꺾어주는 겁니다.
Against a throw, attack the throat with your fingertips, and then do a wrist lock press with your under armpit.
X자 찍어주고 손목 밖으로 꺾어서
Grab his right wrist with your left hand and thrust his neck with your fingertips. Twist his wrist outward, down, and throw.
배를 당겨서 엉덩이부터 집어넣어서 배를 튕겨서 위로 날립니다.
On the ground, bend your knees for leverage, lift your hip, and push him over your head.
손목을 잡아 상대와 관절을 밀어 꺾어갖고 굴립니다.
On the ground, grab his wrist and push the elbow and throw him off.
두 사람이 잡았을 때 한쪽은 옆차기로 공격하고 그다음에 손목 빼서 내전 손목 꺾고.
Against a two-person grab, do a side kick to the first opponent, step into the second opponent, and do an inward wrist lock throw.
잡혔을 때 우측인 사람 옆차기로 처리하고 그 사람 칼로 키워서
Against a two-person grab, do a side kick to the first opponent, twist the second opponent's wrist, and do an elbow press lock.
양손목 잡혔을 때 양두 사람 손목 꺾어줘야.
Against a two-person grab, circulate your forearms in order to grab their wrists. Bring up and pull their wrists in front of you and trap their bent arms.
돌려서 던져보고 자 앞으로.
Circulate your right arm clockwise and your left arm counterclockwise to throw both opponents to the opposite directions.
장심으로 상대의 명치를 치고 손목 잡고 내몸 회전하면서 손목 꺾어서 마무리 꺾어줍니다.
For initiative attack, strike the solar plexus with your palm and throw him outward using your body weight. Lock his wrist vertically on the ground.
상대 손목 잡고 몸을 회전하면서 장심으로 팔꿈치 쳐.
Grab his wrist and step out. Press his elbow with your palm toward him and downward.
손목 잡고 오른팔로 상대의 상박부 칼로 칩니다.
Grab his wrist and insert your other arm between his forearm and bicep. Press it downward.
손목을 양손으로 잡고 45도로 꺾어서 무릎으로 상대의 면을 제압하는 겁니다.
Grab his wrist with both hands and twist upward in a 45-degree angle. Quickly pull it down and throw him.
상대의 손등을 잡고 뒤로
Grab his wrist and elbow. Move into his rear and lock his arm upward.
양손 잡아서 틀어서 들어가면서 손목 꺾어서
Grab his wrist with both hands. Spin under his arm outwardly and hyperextend his wrist. On the ground, press his arm with your knee.
상대의 손목을 잡고 내 몸을 회전하면서 손목을 꺾어서 밀치는 겁니다.
Grab his wrist and step out while twisting the wrist 90 degrees outward. Then push it toward him and downward.
상대의 양 손가락을 잡고 밑에서 위로 치켜 꺾으면서 엮어서 마무리 엮어주는 겁니다.
Grab his fingers with both hands and break them upward. Cross his and your arms and throw him down. On the ground, press his arm with your knee.
옷깃을 잡아당겨 역수도로 늦골치.
Grab his sleeve and pull. When his body turns, strike with a ridge knife hand strike to his rib cage or back.
발꿈치를 명치치면서 촉골비를 천장.
Bend your elbow and do an elbow strike to the solar plexus. Then, immediately a forearm strike to the collarbone.
수도로 상대하고 우패 초월력.
From a side stance at a close distance, a reverse knife hand strike is effective for a surprise attack. The target is the lung.
점프하면서 발로 치고 턱 치고 수도로.
This is a surprisingly powerful attack. Juggle your feet and strike upward and downward with both hands.
발끝으로 옆 동맥선 긁어내기.
From a natural stance, do a quick and precise outside crescent kick to the side of the face or neck.
좌쪽에 나가면 우무릎으로 상대방 대퇴부 가겠습니다.
First, look into the eyes of the opponent and step in. Attack the inner thigh with your knee and take him down. Now, instead of the knee, attack the chest with your high knee kick.
턱을 당겨 목 돌렸고.
Push his chin with your right hand and pull the top of his head with your left hand. Lower your body and rotate his body to the ground.
상대방 옷깃을 잡아 당겨 또 반대 힘을 이용해서 집어 던지는 거지.
Pull his sleeve. When he resists, circulate his arm forward and throw him. On the floor, keep pulling his sleeve until you lock his arm.
붙잡아 쳐서 외진하는 거 던지기.
Grab the sleeve and spin outwardly. Lower your body and throw him. On the floor, use your knee to press his arm.
우순으로 다리 하나 걸어 던지기.
Position your right foot behind his left leg and lower your balance. Scoop his right leg with your right arm and throw him to the rear.
상대방 합곡부의 손목을 잡고 뒤로 돌아 왼손으로 오금 던지기.
Press his vital point between the thumb and index finger with your right thumb. Spin under his arm and barricade his right leg with your left hand.
던지기!
Step in and grab his sleeve and waist. Throw him over your hip and press his arm with your knee.
들어오는 주먹을 피하면서 손목 맥치는 겁니다.
The first target for the cane technique is the closest vital point. This is an inside strike to the forearm area.
들어오는 주먹을 손목 맥치는 겁니다.
This is an outside strike to the wrist. Lower your center and cover your body with the other hand.
상의 끝으로 명치가 하객하는 겁니다.
Taking advantage of the length of the cane, thrust to the solar plexus while you are lowering your body for maximum power base.
들어오는 주먹을 막으면서 단장을 팔 밑으로 넣어서 제압하는.
Block the punch. Place the cane behind his arm onto his body. Press his elbow firmly to the ground.
안으로 손목 맞고 단장을 목에 걸어서 몸을 회전하면서.
Block the punch. Place the cane behind his arm onto his neck. Press his neck firmly to the rear. Intensify the pressure by pulling his wrist.
들어오는 주먹을 단장 손잡이로 막아서 틀어서 던지는 겁니다.
Against punching, step inside and hook his wrist with the handle and twist outward and throw him to the ground.
시스템 100회나 양 3골 치는 거고요. 이건 양 관자놀이, 양 턱. 또 어떨 때 맞고 또 반대쪽 맞고 옆차에 공격해 맞고 또 옆차에도 맞고 들어가면서 명치나 전도 턱 쳐올립니다.
The mini short stick is good for offense and defense. For offense, straight striking, inside and outside striking are commonly used. For defense, inside and outside middle blocks against punching, and inside and outside down blocks are used against kicks. Thrusting is also used to finish off against an incoming assailant.
척걸로 막아 잡아당겨 꺾어줘.
Against punching, block outward and hook the wrist. Pull the tip of the weapon downward to lock his arm completely against the ground.
주먹 공격 시 자손 내려맞고 단번 꺾어 손등 부위 감아 돌려 손목 꺾어 제압합니다.
Grab his hand inward and press his backhand with the bottom of the weapon. Then throw him outward. On the ground, press his arm with your knee.
중앙 단번으로 맞고 꺾어 손등골 치고 손목 팔꿈가락 꺾기.
Block the punch with both hands and strike the rib cage with the bottom of the weapon. Press his elbow from outside and throw. Intensify the pressure on the ground.
주먹 들어 때 왼손 내려 맞고 단봉으로 척골 부위로 눌러.
Block the punch clockwise and bring the weapon behind his elbow. Hold the tip of the weapon with your left hand and press the elbow.
주먹 공격 시 맞고 겨달 밑에 단번 끼워서 잡아채고.
Block with your left hand. Put the weapon under his armpit and throw him by pulling your left hand. Then, press his arm with your knee.
한번 올려 맞고 반대 끝 당겨 제압한 다음 단번 끝으로 찔러주고.
Block the punch with a high block. Rotate the weapon and hook his wrist and pull. Then, thrust his neck with the tip of the weapon.
주먹 공격 시 단번 끝으로 당겨 제압하는 것입니다.
Hook the wrist inward and pull it downward. Relax your shoulders and lower your body.
왼 척걸로 맞고 팔꿈치로 상대방 상박볼 치고 위에서 뒷목을 쳐서 상대방 기절시키면 됩니다.
Step forward with a left block. Do an elbow strike to his bicep. Finish with a knife hand strike on his rear neck.
오는 거 받아갖고 손날로 상대방 열결부에 손목을 칩니다.
Step forward and scoop up the wrist. Then, immediately do a knife hand strike to the wrist.
좌파 좌팔로 감아서 맞고 상대방 등 뒤를 팔꿈치로 가격합니다.
Move outside and make a low section forearm block. Spin clockwise and do an elbow strike to the rear.
좌팔로 맞고 상대 팔을 틀어서 좌손으로 칼로 기어 들어갑니다. 칼을 뺏어서
Move forward and make a low section forearm block. Grab the wrist and step across while pressing his elbow. Press his elbow with your knee and take the knife away.
X로 막아서 상대방 손목을 잡고 꺾습니다. 마무리해서 칼을 뺐습니다.
Do a cross arm block and move your right foot forward and pivot your body. Throw him and press his arm with your knee.
X를 막어 틀어서 발로 명치를 차고 팔을 꺾어서 칼을 뺐습니다.
Do a cross arm block and twist the wrist upward. Kick the trunk and press his arm with your knee kick. Maintain the pressure on the ground.
좌수를 막아서 그대로 상대 칼로 상대방을 찌르고 바로 손목을 꺾어서 진압을 합니다.
Step outside and grab his wrist and turn the knife against him. Then, twist his wrist outward and throw him to the ground.
양손을 막어 내 몸을 외전하여 상대의 중심을 빼준 후 뒤로 던집니다. 바로 칼을 빼서 간절을 꺾어 칼을 뺏어갖고 마무리합니다.
Step outside and grab his wrist. Spin outward to take his balance. Then, throw him around you. On the floor, press his elbow with your hand.
양손을 잡아서 내 몸을 내전하여 상대방 발을 걸어서 던지고 바로 상대방 관절을 꺾어서 칼을 뺐습니다.
Step outside and grab his wrist. Spin outward to take his balance. Then, throw him around you. On the floor, press his elbow with your knee.
양 촉구불로 막어 상대방 손목을 꺾습니다.
Step outside and block his arm with your forearms. Grab his elbow and twist his wrist inward and take him down. On the ground, press his triceps with your knee to maximize the effect.
우팔로 막어 오른발로 상당한 오금을 쳐서 쓰러뜨리고 목을 감아서 가격합니다.
Against reversed thrust, step forward and block the arm. Do an instep stomp kick to the rear knee. Pull his neck to the rear and do an elbow strike to the head.
자, 촉법으로 막어 목을 조르는 상대방 뒤로 던지게 합니다. 상대방이 안 넘어졌으니까 다시 또 던지기 들어갑니다. 마무리 제압합니다.
Move in to the side and block with your left forearm. Make a cross choke and rear hip throw. When it doesn't work, grab his arm and do a shoulder throw. Finish it with a knee press.
양손을 막아서 팔꿈치로 자동이 치고 관절을 꺾어서 다시 내 팔과 팔을 대고 관절을 펴고
Against inward thrusting, do a double arm block and right elbow strike to the rib cage. Press his elbow from the rear and take him down. Then, by pulling his arm against your front shin, roll him around and finish with vertical arm lock.
손날로 막아서 손날 상대가 목을 치고 무릎으로 치고 발 벌어서 던집니다. 마무리.
Make a double arm block and knife hand strike to the neck. Grab his shoulder and do a knee kick to the trunk. Sweep his leg to the rear and finish it with a knee press.
자수를 막아 상대가 팔꿈을 친 후 틀어서 손목을 꺾습니다.
Against downward thrusting, do a high block and grab his wrist. Strike his arm with your other hand and take him down. Continue to pull his wrist until he gives in.
왼손으로 감아서 막은 다음에 상대방 손목을 꺾습니다. 반대로 꺾어서 칼을 빼준 후
Against downward thrusting, do an inside block and grab his wrist with both hands. Break the wrist outward and finish it with a knee press.
왼발 나가면서 피하고 상대방 발로 찹니다.
Step to the side and kick to the trunk. Then immediately make a guarding posture.
상대방이 들어올 때 바로 옆차기를 찹니다.
As soon as he moves in, stretch your leg to the center of his body and do a side kick.
변호순 씨, 총구에서 비키며 총구를 상대 쪽으로 향한 다음 손목을 잡아서 당겨서
Move your head out of the firing line and do inward, upward, and outward wrist lock combinations. On the floor, rotate his wrist and take his gun away. Finish it with a shin press arm bar.
후방에서 견호수 씨 우측으로 몸을 자세를 낮춰 회전하며 당기며 무릎을 제압합니다.
Against rear gun pointing, pivot clockwise and grab his arms and kick to the kneecap. Press him with your knee on the floor.
옆에서 견호수 씨 누르며 총구를 상대 쪽으로 향한 다음 뒤쪽으로 빼서 손목을 제압하고 총을 탈취한 후 손목을 누르고
Against side gun pointing, brush off the gun with your right hand and make a side rear arm lock. Take the gun away and spin clockwise for a reverse throw. On the floor, control his arm with your foot.
주먹 공격시 끈으로 돌려서 손목을 제압한 다음 그대로 밀어넣어 목에 걸어 완전 제압하고.
First, block the punch with your belt and wrap the wrist. Then, wrap the neck and finish the situation. This technique is extremely dangerous. Use the highest caution in practice.
주먹 공격 들어온 손을 돌려서 끈으로 묶은 다음 반대 손을 돌려 또 끼고 나머지 끈으로 뭘 감아서 제압합니다.
Hook and wrap the punching wrist and tie the other elbow as you step in. Finish it with a mouth wrapping technique.
공을 들어올 때 끈으로 감아서 손목 제압한 다음 내면서 손목 뻗고 지금 나머지 목으로 걸어 제압.
This is a counterclockwise hook. Then, spin under his arm and throw him down. On the ground, finish it with a rear neck choke.
옆차기 공격 들어올 때 막아 튼 다음 발로 걸어 눌러 꺾은다. 끈으로 목을 감아 당겨 제압하는 기술입니다.
Against a side kick, wrap the ankle with your belt. Trap down his leg with your right leg and finish with a rear pull choke on the ground. When someone pulls your wrist, kick his stomach and press his elbow with your knee and twist the wrist on the ground. When you are approached from the side, lower your center and grab his rear shoulder and calf. Throw him to the rear. Against a frontal attack, grab his shoulders and do knee kicks to the groin and head until you succeed. Against side hugging, do a lateral elbow strike to the neck. Position your leg behind his leg and throw him around decisively and powerfully. Against a side arm grab, pull his hair from the rear and suddenly throw him forward. Finish it with a side kick to the neck on the ground. Against a rear knife choke, grab and twist his wrist and elbow. Get your head out and quickly reverse the spin and throw him. On the ground, finish the technique with a knee press.
Yeah!